Hello and welcome. Whether you are brand new to QuaverMusic or would just like a refresher, let's go ahead and get started. Today, we will be talking about the teacher dashboard, our Quaver Curriculum, ClassPlay, teacher toolbox, and resource manager before we wrap up. So let's dive right in. Starting off, when you log into your QuaverMusic account, this is your teacher dashboard. It's the first thing that you will see. At the top of the teacher dashboard, these are our administrative tools, things that you can access at any time while you're using QuaverMusic and are really important for sure. Below that, you'll see this Customize button with all of these other options available to you in terms of what icons you want to have displayed. So if we would like to change the order of what we see displayed here, we can click on this blue Customize button. Let's go ahead and click that. Alrighty. So in terms of customizing our dashboard, we have some options on what we would like to do, starting with the title. You might want to make it say something like, welcome to music class. Maybe it's going to be something thematic or seasonal, totally up to you. Below that, here's where we select our theme color. So you'll notice that color is displayed at the top of the dashboard and also on the bottom as well. Scrolling back up to the top here, you'll also have an option to decide on the cover image that you would like displayed if you want one displayed. If you do not, you can deselect that checkbox here. But if you do, you can choose from our stock photos that we have available. So we click on Choose a stock photo. You'll see all the different options that we have available to you. The other option we have for you is for you to select and upload your own file that you might have saved onto your computer. Scrolling down here, this is where we get a chance to decide the icons that we want displayed on our teacher dashboard. So you'll notice for mine, I actually did the option to select all, but you all can do it based on your preference. And so you'll see the list of applications that we have available to you here on the left-hand side. If you would like something displayed on your dashboard, just make sure that you have it checked off. And if you do not want something displayed, you can just deselect it. Now, based on the selections that you've made over here on the right, you'll see them appear over here. I'm sorry, based on the selection that you made over here on the left side of the screen, you'll be able to see them over here on the right and change the order that you want them to be in as well. So all you'll have to do is just click and drag the icons and you'll see the order being changed in terms of placement. Now, I actually do recommend, even if just for the purpose of this training video, you might want to have your Quaver Curriculum at the top. Curriculum features and best practices kind of goes with the curriculum in the sense that it provides listening maps, scope and sequence, keyword glossary. So I feel like that's helpful to have those two icons side by side. ClassPlay is also something else we will be exploring as well, and teacher toolbox. Once you've made your selection, scroll down to the bottom and click where it says Save and Exit. Save and exit. Alrighty, so you get that success message. Your changes have been successfully saved. And so now you're looking at your new and improved customized teacher dashboard. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and dive into the icon right here, Quaver Curriculum. Let's click on that. Alrighty, so once inside the Quaver Curriculum, you'll notice we have all these different grade levels displayed across the top. And we also have an opportunity to decide how we want to view these lessons. So over here at the top left, you'll see you can toggle between our lesson view here or our unit view. Let's go ahead and take a look at a lesson, for example. We've got 4th grade, lesson 3. Now you'll notice in the unit view, this is the 3rd lesson and the final lesson in our rhythm module. So that means that this lesson also contains an assessment. You'll notice that happens for all of the lessons that we have here. Every 3rd lesson contains an assessment based on the module that you are working in, the unit. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and click on Lesson 3, Super 16th Notes. Alrighty, so the first thing that you're going to get is just an outline or a layout of how our lessons are presented, and they all have this similar format. So you'll notice we always start off with a welcome screen, introducing our students to that lesson topic. Scrolling down here, you'll see that we get into our screens where we introduce the content, talk about what to expect in the lesson, things like that. We move on to screens to engage our students, warm them up, get their attention. And then we get into screens to develop the material. Scrolling down here, you'll also notice we do provide for you a screen to summarize the objectives of the lesson as well. And like I said, this particular lesson also contains an assessment. Now, beyond that, you'll notice it says extend and in parentheses optional. So that just means that we provide for you even more screens in the event that you have more time in your classes. You'll notice that these are, like I said, optional. So it's just up to you to determine whether or not you would like to utilize these, but they are here for you and they are included right at the end of every lesson. Alrighty. Now coming to the top here, we have some other icons for you, the objectives. We of course want to be able to see the objectives of the lesson. We can close that out by clicking OK or the X here. We also have this overview button. This just gives us a short description of the activity or basically what is happening on each screen within that lesson. Here is where we have any applicable worksheets. So depending on the lesson that you are viewing, you'll be able to access those worksheets here. Now, in this case, because this lesson does contain an assessment, we do provide for you a printable version of the assessment as well. We've got a student version that can be done with students answering the questions here on paper, and you'll see the questions are provided for you as well. Another option, let's close this tab. Another option is an assessment response form. So in this case, I could print, so many copies of these, and then I would still be able to display the questions on my digital board. But in terms of students answering the questions, they can just bubble them in here on this sheet. All right, so we'll close this out, close out our worksheets. Here is where we access the lesson plan. So exciting to be able to have this, and it is ready to go. So you'll notice on the lesson plan, we provide for you all of that pertinent information, your purpose, your objectives. You'll see in here, we do provide for you the time limit and the time limit if you're going to be using the extension screens as well. Standards, resources, music in the lesson too. And then when you scroll down, you'll notice what a display. We've got a picture of every screen inside the lesson. We also provide for you, of course, those teaching suggestions along with suggested time limits to spend on each screen within that lesson as well. And like I said, those extension screens you'll notice are also provided for you too. Let's go ahead and close this out. Alrighty, so now green means go. So we can click on this green launch button to launch this lesson. All right, so now we're ready to present to our students. We've got our welcome screen up and we're ready to invite our students to music class. As they enter, you might even want them to dance to some music. So we have the song in this lesson already for you on the welcome screen. And then once students are seated, we provide for you these buttons here in the event that you wanted to go ahead and introduce them to the objectives of the lesson. Maybe you have some vocabulary words that you want to bring to their attention. And then review. This just means that it could have been a case where you utilize the lessons that came before this one inside that rhythm module. So we can review that information before we get into the lesson itself. Alrighty. Now, one really cool trick that we can do with this screen right here, you'll notice at the top, we're talking about 16th notes and it says 4th grade. Now, we music teachers know that this is a concept that we very well would want to reinforce in 5th grade as well. So what we could do is click at the bottom left where it says menu. Click on that menu button. And then we click where it says tools. We then click where it says grade. And we can change this to any grade level that we would like to be displayed on the screen. So you'll notice that I click the number 5, I click the X, and now the children on the screen have even grown up a little bit too. You'll even see now it says 5th grade. You've got that number 5 flying across the background too. So you definitely have that option here to be able to change the grade level that's being displayed on our welcome screen. And once you're ready to move on in the lesson, we just click this yellow arrow for next. Alrighty. So in this particular lesson, we give you some slides to kind of activate some prior knowledge and really introduce the concept of things that come in sets of 4. So as you scroll through, you'll see that we are leading students to discover that we are working on 16th notes today, and those are going to be performed in sets of 4. Once you're ready, again, you just continue clicking this next button. Alrighty, so we wanted to, again, in activating that prior knowledge and rhythm patterns that students may have already been introduced to, plus adding in our new value of those 4 16th notes. So I might even start off by, polling my students to see if they're able to identify where are those sets of 4 16th notes on the screen. So we could come into this menu button and pull up this draw feature. Over here at the bottom, we can change the color of the marker, and we can change the size of it too, if needed. And then maybe I just want to, identify with students, where are those sets of 4 16th notes? So you'll see we have an option to be able to circle. Hey, maybe you're even allowing student volunteers to come on up and circle these sets of 4 16th notes that are being shown on the screen. Once you're done at the bottom here, you can clear that out. Some other things that you might want to do to introduce these 16th notes, the rhythm syllables, right? So we can click menu again at the bottom left, but this time click where it says text. And we can put in some text boxes. Maybe we want to type in the rhythm syllables that our students are going to be using to perform the 16th notes. So I might say, all right, students, when we see these sets of 4 16th notes, we are going to say ticka ticka, and we can practice like that. Again, at the bottom, you can clear that out. You can even save it so that it can appear ahead of time or automatically when you do access this screen and present it to your students. All righty. So some other things that we can do with this screen here, we can click the menu button, click where it says tools. If you remember on our welcome screen, this is where we came to change the grade level. But to the left of that, we have a hide feature. Love this hide feature so we can decide what we want students to see and what we don't want them to see. Maybe it's a case where you want to reveal, each line of rhythm patterns one by one, or maybe it's even a case where you want to drag over and have students perform maybe just one measure as opposed to the 2 measures that you see for each line of rhythm patterns. So lots of options available to you here. Just close that out once you are done. And then once you are ready for students to perform this, we've got a play button here that has a backing track. So I'm just going to click on this cursor so I can activate that play button. All righty. And then I get to the point where, I'm ready to move on in my lesson. So I'm looking for that next arrow. I'm not seeing it. So one thing to notice whenever we're utilizing things like that draw tool, that text tool, things inside this menu button, you'll notice that it takes over that whole bottom tray of the screen. So we can click on menu and click where it says lesson, and then our previous and next arrows will reappear. So then we can just click to get to the next screen in our lesson. Here we want to see if students are able to orally identify patterns that have 16th notes. They can maybe give a thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no, or however you would like for them to answer. Let's take a listen to the first one. Yeah, we definitely heard 16th notes there. And you'll see that there are 3 more to complete as well. Moving on in this lesson, we have a song about 16th notes. It's called 16th Note Samba. Let's go ahead and listen to a little bit of it.
This song is about 16 notes. Teach me how to count 16 notes. I really like to play my 16 notes. 16 notes.
Alrighty, we'll pause it there. So yes, you're able to see that we've got, the song playing. You'll even notice the orange highlight feature. So, once your students get comfortable with the song, you can always go ahead and turn that highlight feature off and continue or restart the song. You'll see we also have at the bottom right a full screen mode if you wanted to utilize that as well. And then we click that little square in the bottom right to exit that full screen mode. Here we also provide a loop feature if you need that. And then over here on the left, we have a mixer. Love, love, love the mixer. So with this, you have an opportunity to mute the vocals, maybe even mute the harmony, all of those pre-recorded voices in there, and really make sure that it's your students that are the superstars. And they're the ones that are singing. So if at any time you need to go in and mute those vocals, by all means, make sure that your students are the ones who are singing. All righty. And again, once you're ready to continue in the lesson, we just keep clicking this next button to progress in that lesson. You'll see in here, we've got a screen talking about improvisation and just leading students through the process of that. We could kind of do it in a gradual release type of a way. So we can utilize that draw tool. Maybe it's a case where I explain to students that they're only going to be playing the first pattern, the second pattern, and the third pattern. But when they get to this fourth pattern over here, that's their opportunity to perform whatever rhythm pattern they want to do. Create your own and kind of go in that process of elimination method like that. And so we'll try the song again, but this time they're going to, perform measure 1. On measure 2, you clap your own pattern. We're going to go ahead and continue with measure 3 next, and then measure 4, again, clap your own. And so we would just continue to gradually, release that of, copying the rhythm patterns to them creating their own. Alrighty, let's clear that out. And again, we're ready to go to the next screen in our lesson. So we'll click that menu button and click where it says lesson. Nice. Now, there also might be times where, hey, you might want to skip different screens within the lesson for whatever reason. So you can always just click on the title you see here at the bottom of the screen, and you'll be able to quickly skip to any screens within this lesson. But let's just go ahead and click that next button. All righty. So here is our summary screen. We talk about the things that we learned today. We restate our lesson objectives. And then at the bottom here, we can cheer for our students for accomplishing our lesson objectives. You may even want to go through some of those vocabulary words again too here if you would like. Alrighty, so moving on in this lesson, this is where we provide for you that assessment. And so like I said, it could be a case where you are performing the entire assessment digitally. We even have a teacher guided mode to where you can connect with student accounts. They can administer or they can complete the answers on a device. And then when they submit, it can be auto-graded and appear in your Quaver gradebook. All things to learn about later on in your journey. But again, we do also have the option of having the assessment on paper. So if this is a time where maybe you wanted to go ahead and make that decision, you can click where it says menu and click where it says worksheets. And we can even still access the worksheets while we still have that lesson launched. All righty, just to give you an idea of what these questions look like here, talking about the Quaver 5, answer C. Great. I'm telling you, that was always so exciting for my students. And then you just click this arrow to get to the next question. All righty, so moving on in this lesson, now is where we get into our extension screen. So again, these are optional. If you are just using the screens that came before, you might have, closed out and completed the lesson at this time. But if you do happen to have more time, now we can get into these extension screens. So maybe it's a case where we can go ahead and review the song, sing it again, maybe add in some other elements and things like that, which, speaking of which, if you need some ideas on things that you can do to further develop the song here, go ahead and take a look at the top right. You notice this red tab that says Song Hub. And at the top left, you'll notice it says ClassPlay. Well, ClassPlay is actually another dashboard icon that we offer for you. And we're going to be diving into ClassPlay next. But essentially, when I get into the Song Hub, it's showing me all of the related activities that I can access to further develop the song 16th Note Samba. And inside ClassPlay, that is also a place where we can access these same activities that you're seeing here. So stay tuned. We'll talk more about ClassPlay in just a second, but I just wanted you all to know that from here, you do have that Song Hub option within the lesson as well. Alrighty, clicking next, our extension screens. Perhaps it's the chance for you to put students into groups. You'll even notice that it's already labeled with 4 groups, so maybe you put your students into those 4 groups. In their groups, perhaps they can create some rhythm patterns and perform them. And what you could even do with a screen like this, click where it says menu at the bottom left, and then click where it says link. So if you've got access to those student devices, they can always scan the QR code to get it on those devices, or you can always copy and paste and send the link to students that way too. All righty, moving on with our extension screens. We've got 16th note grooves. And so essentially you want students to be able to recognize, when they're listening to a beat, for example. Are you able to decipher which instrument is performing those 16th note values? In this case, it's the kick drum. Now, if at any time you get to a screen, you just need a little bit more information, yes, we do have the lesson plan full of all of those teaching suggestions. But the good thing to know is we do provide for you that same, the same lesson plan notes. When we click menu at the bottom left, click where it says notes. And these are directly taken from the lesson plan. So if at any time that you want to access these, you have them available to you by clicking that menu button. All right, let's close this out. Moving on, we offer you a blank screen. So again, we would have showed students what an example looks like, and then now given them that opportunity to create. So like I said, hitting that menu and link button would be totally appropriate for this. And then we end the lesson with a quiz challenge. We actually do provide these in a lot of our lessons. So you'll find that we have multiple topics that have this quiz challenge. In this case, we're talking about rhythm. So you'll see the different categories that we have here at the top and, the point values. Even at the bottom, we have the teams ready for you. Or if you click on options, you can totally add more teams and even customize the names of the teams. You'll also see some other features here as well, too. Once you're ready, you hit save. And then, all right, you've got that first student up. They choose a category. Let's say they choose beat for 10 points. So we click on that. Which is the heartbeat of music? Oh, we know that's the beat. Nice. So now that student would have earned 10 points for their team. And you'll see that now team 2 is highlighted. So we move on to a student in team 2. Now, if you're anything like me, you might want to go ahead and do some additional praise to these students. So click where it says menu and click where it says widgets. And when you click on this soundboard widget, we can even move it to the side out of the way. So So yes, I actually like to have my soundboard widget up while administering quiz challenge, so we can always praise these students that are getting these answers. And of course, once we're done, we can just close it out here. But you'll notice here for widgets, we offer other things like a keyboard. We've got a metronome here as well. We just saw that soundboard. Here we have a timer. So if for any reason you wanted to give some students maybe some time to discuss whatever it is on the screen, you have that timer option available to you. We also provide for you a die widget. And then we have a scoreboard for you as well. So get into those widgets. Those are also things that you have access to that you can pull up on your lesson screen to really enhance the activities that you are doing. All righty. So then at the bottom right, let's just go ahead and do menu lesson, but I just wanted to show you all. If I click next, it's just going to it's going to bring me back to the beginning of the lesson because that is the end. So at the bottom right, we can just click exit. You'll notice it will bring us back to that lesson screen where we saw, the breakdown of the lesson. We can come to the top here and close out this tab, or maybe you're getting ready to teach another lesson in another grade level. So clicking the back button, that will bring you back to our main selection of all the different lessons. And then we can click exit here to get back to our teacher dashboard or close this tab. If you notice, there's also a help button at the top right, and you'll see these located throughout our resources too. So when you're using something, a lot of times you'll notice we do have that help available to you at the top right. All right, so let's go ahead and close out this tab. Coming back to our teacher dashboard. So that is our Quaver Curriculum. Now, you'll notice again, I've talked about, briefly this button next to it, curriculum features and best practices. So in utilizing the Quaver Curriculum, we just want you to know that we do provide for you, curriculum maps, scope and sequence. You can select by grade level over here at the top. And then the green best practices button, you can access things like a keyword glossary, for example, and just some other resources that you might want to have access to while you're utilizing our Quaver Curriculum. All right, so we'll exit this out. We are moving on to ClassPlay. ClassPlay. All right, so let's click on that. So one thing to know about ClassPlay, this is a curated list of songs that we have available to you that also come with activities. So maybe it's a case where you wanted to have more of a song-centered approach to your music lesson. You could come into ClassPlay, select a song, and then select the different activities that you want to perform with your students. Some things that we can do to search, we can always browse the list. It's alphabetical. We can type, maybe there's a specific song that we are looking for, or we can select filters. Love that. So now it's just a chance, maybe we are lesson planning. This is a chance for us to decide, okay, is there a particular grade level song that we are looking for? Below that, is there any specialty in the song that we would like for it to have? Or is it, are we doing some instrument learning or a classical piece, things like that? And then below that, we can select from advanced filters. So I might say, oh, yes, I want to do a folk song. I would like for it to have barred instruments. I would love for it to be in a major key. You'll also notice whenever we have new songs, they're denoted by a red star. We can even select meter and solfege as well. So make whatever selections you would like. And once you're ready, click that green OK button. And so now our list is a little bit more focused based on whatever filters we selected. And so now as we're browsing this filtered list, you might even want to just listen to something without having to actually open it. That's why we provide you with these play buttons. Wow, maybe that is the song that I was looking for. So now when I click on the title, we have a lot of options in terms of what we would like to accomplish with Bow Wow Wow. So you'll see over here, we have this blue circle with that down arrow. That's our download feature. So if at any time that you need, downloadable versions of our tracks, maybe even, the vocals or the mix, I use these a lot for concerts. I use it for choir. So you do have access to that here. To the right of that is that purple circle with that white square. That's our song info button. So again, if this is the time that I am lesson planning, I can now look at this and see, oh, okay, they recommend Bow Wow Wow for K1 and 2. You'll see there's some other things provided in the song, like I can reinforce ta, TT, and quarter rest. Oh, I can use it to introduce mi, re, do. This is fabulous. So again, just all that pertinent information that we would want to know about the songs that we're going to be utilizing. We'll close that out. And then in terms of, process and just how we want to deliver this to our students, you are in full control. And so maybe it's a case where you decide you wanted to introduce this with the lyric screen first. So if there's one available, you can select that here. All righty, let's go ahead and take a listen. We'll just pause it there for time purposes. Now, one thing to note, make a connection here. In our lesson on 16th notes, we had that song 16th note samba, and it had this ClassPlay icon at the top left. So again, here we are in ClassPlay. And so you'll notice we have a lot of those same features that we had for the 16th note song. We still have our highlight feature. We've got the full screen. Over here at the left, we've got that mixer where you can mute those vocals. Absolutely. But you'll also notice here at the top right in ClassPlay, we provide notes here. So these are going to be notes on how to utilize the screens in ClassPlay. We'll close that out. And once you're ready to move on, you'll just have to close that browser tab. It will bring you right back to ClassPlay. And then again, you as the teacher would decide what's going to be your order of operations? What will be your process? Where should we go next? So I actually recommend, if you look at the top right, this song activities box, that's definitely going to be your go-to in terms of your path in delivering the song. And so you'll see in here, for example, we provide a game. So there's a game we can do for Bow Wow Wow. We've got, screens to help us learn some instrument parts. We can analyze the rhythm. Hey, maybe we even want to analyze the solfege and rhythm. So I can click that, for example. All righty, so now we can allow students to be able to hear the song being sung in solfege.
Ready, steady, breathe and sing. Do, do, do. Mi, 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 mi. So, 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 la, so, mi, do, mi, re, do. Woof.
Love that. And now you'll see there's some options here at the bottom. So you might even want to, turn the notation off. Maybe the focus is just the current hand signs and the solfege.
Ready, steady, breathe and sing. Do, do, do. Mi, 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 mi.
Awesome. We can turn that notation back on. Over here, we can even turn the words off, so the solfege hints. So maybe we're on, week 3 or week 4 of Bow Wow Wow, and now we want to challenge our students and see if they can sing it without the solfege hints being displayed at the bottom. We'll turn those back on. Here we can also change the key. And then when we go into the student toolbox, we have even more options on how we want to manipulate this screen. You'll notice that we have a draw tool ready for you. So maybe it's a case where you have students identify where we have the paired 8th notes. Students can come on up. Maybe you select student volunteers and they can come and circle, those paired 8th notes, things like that. We'll click reset. We also have this hand option. So essentially, we can even customize which hand our demonstrator is showing here. So left hand, right hand, both, whatever you would like to be displayed. And then right here, this letter A, it displays the musical alphabet, and that's essentially up to you and your own creative interpretation. So maybe it's a case where you wanted to actually notate the song using actual notation instead of the solfege. So we could say, all right, students, we're in key of F. It starts on do. What note is do? It's the F. So we can drag that here and kind of notate the song like that. You might even want to use these letters to label the form. Students, first we start off with an A section, then we go to a B section. So things like that. But again, just totally up to whatever you want to create utilizing these letters from the music alphabet. Alrighty, but then I saved this button for last. So we can actually turn this into a rhythm activity by clicking on syllables or numbers or Gordon, Takadimi, and Eastman. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
Ready, steady, breathe, and chant. Ta, ta, ta. Ta, ta-dee, ta. Ta-dee, 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 ta. Ta, 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 ta.
So you've got your options there in terms of the counting syllables that you want to utilize for bow, wow, wow. And then again, at the top right, if at any point that you get stuck and you just need some more information in terms of operating all those good features on the screen, you've got that notes button and you'll see we have a how to use guide. Alrighty, we'll close that out. So again, once you're done with the screen, we just come to the top and close that tab. Alrighty, so then again, maybe you would want to engage in another song activity. Below that, you'll also notice we do provide printables for you. So if for whatever reason you wanted to come and, get a printed version of a score, we have them here for you. And then below that, we provide a digital version of the full score. So we click on this full score. All right, so in here, you'll see at the top, they're also showing some instrument parts. So I might choose to solo the soprano, alto, Glock part. I can single click a measure. And so we can practice the ostinato that we're going to be performing on the soprano, alto, Glock. I can single click again to get back to the rest of the score. And then, hey, now we're ready to try another instrument part. We've got a bass xylophone part. Same thing, single click the measure. We can practice the ostinato, single click, and add in some more instrument parts. Now, once we're ready, we can go to options at the top left and show all the parts and perform the song. The best part about this screen here at the bottom right, we can change the tempo. And so you might want to slow it down, especially if you are utilizing those instrument parts, and maybe work your way up to the tempo that is intended. You'll see over here, you can also change the key if needed. Maybe it's even just for the purpose of accidentals and using them or not using them on your barred instruments, for example. And then you still have that handy dandy mixer. So while students are performing this on instrument parts, for example, you might want to make sure that you mute those vocals, see if your students are able to sing and play their parts at the same time. Alrighty, so again, we just come to the top and close this tab. Now inside ClassPlay, some other little things that you might want to explore. At the top left, there's a menu button. We provide for you an icon legend. So you notice in ClassPlay, there's a lot of these different little icons. So here we've got a guide on what these icons mean. And then we can even take a look at the ClassPlay kids. So we have a little storyline, just some fun facts, about each of these characters. But you'll see these characters throughout ClassPlay. And so, hey, just in case your students are wondering who they are, we've got some fun facts on them here for you. Alrighty, and then there's that help button at the top right. Now you'll notice over here in ClassPlay on the sides, you've got teacher toolbox and student interactives. We're actually going to be diving into teacher toolbox next, so I'll save that part. But essentially, we just gave you a chance to access some additional screens while you're utilizing ClassPlay. These are also icons that you will see available to you on the dashboard. Teacher toolbox and student interactives. All righty, let's go ahead and close this out to get back to our teacher dashboard. And now we want to look for our button that says Teacher Toolbox. I have it right here, so I'll click on that. All righty, so Teacher Toolbox, this is the place to navigate through some a la carte screens and activities, things to essentially just add on to what you're already doing in your music lessons. So you'll see in here, there's all these different categories of things that we can access. So let's say, for example, you wanted to engage your students in a vocal warm-up before you get into singing for your music lesson for the day. So I could come and click on the vocal warm-ups category here and try some of these with my students. I will say my students' favorites were Hootie Owl Vow for sure. Let's go ahead and take a look at that one, for example. So you'll see in here, we click on the different vowel sounds and then students will echo and show whatever hand signs. Ha, ha, ha. And just continue to click. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Hoo, hoo, hoo. And so on. So you would have done however many you feel are appropriate. And once you're ready, toggle to a singing voice. Ha, ha, ha. And you can echo like that and so on. Now, when you're in Teacher Toolbox and you're coming to these screens and, maybe needing some more information, just like we had in our lesson, this menu button. So here we can go to the notes and get those teaching suggestions on how to use and even some fun ideas. So you do have access again to that menu button while in Teacher Toolbox. Hey, you might even notice something like this favorite button. Essentially, that's going to create a bookmark of this activity that we can then be able to find and access later in Resource Manager. Don't worry, we're heading there next after Teacher Toolbox, so I'll show you what that looks like there. Alrighty, now once you're done with the screen, you can exit here or close the tab at the top of your browser. And so maybe it's a case where you wanted to go through some more vocal warm-ups with your students, or maybe even something else in another category. We have the movement category, for example, something like prepare the body. So in here, maybe you wanted to utilize this at the start of your music class, maybe stretch your students out before they get into a lot of movement. It could be a movement break for students and things like that too. So essentially you would just select the different stretch moves that we have in here. I'll just select a couple for us to try. Lean right, lean left, and why don't we hug? And we can do a stretch up too. Alrighty. And so you'll notice you don't even have to fill up all 7 boxes. You can do as many as you would like. And so below that, you've got an option for BPM, so the tempo. We'll just do a quick one. So we'll just do an 80 BPMs. You're welcome to stand and try these stretches with me. Here it comes. All righty, go ahead and have a seat if you were standing. So just an example of prepare the body. And again, you can always go to that menu button if that's something that you really like and you want to be able to access it quickly later on. You can click that favorite button and you still have those same menu options that we saw in our lesson too. All right, so we'll close this out. You'll see in here again, you might want to select another category or just continue on in your music lesson. We'll show you one more in here, interactive instruments. So we provide for you an interactive ORF library, for example. Love, love, love utilizing this, especially when you're getting ready to introduce barred instrument parts, right? We want to make sure that students really are understanding what they're going to play before we actually send them to the instruments. So, whole group, I'm able to pull this up. I might pull up the alto xylophone, for example. Students are able to see the bars are labeled with letters from our musical alphabet. You'll see they also go in size, large to small. That affects the pitch, so let them hear what that sounds like. Awesome. So we can help to make that connection of our larger bars have the lower sound, the smaller bars have the higher sound. We can even open up the student toolbox here and get to some more options on what we want to show our students. Maybe it's a case where we utilize this draw tool. That way students are able to see the specific bars that we're going to be playing today. So I might say, all right, students, make sure when you're at your instruments that we're playing C. you'll notice it's the first bar C, the long C. It's not the smaller one right here that you'll see in the middle of your instrument. It's the low C. And we're also going to be playing our G today. And so again, we're showing students where that G is. It's not going to be the high G, it's the low G, things like that. We can clear that out. We can also put in some solfege syllables. So students, today we're playing C and G. Well, we know that our C is do. So I wonder our G, what would we label that one as? And so we can put our so up here on the barred instrument for G, for example. All right, we'll clear that out. We also have scales. So we can utilize this to show students, how we get our instruments set up into the different pentatonics. And so I might say, all right, students, when you get to your instrument, you're going to notice that there's some bars that we have to remove. What are those bars that we're going to have to remove? Let's see. So I can click on these gray circles, these gray dots here, and it can allow the bars to reappear, but I'm just leading them to discover that, okay, we're going to have to remove our big F, our low F. We're going to have to remove our B and our high F, our little f. So you can even, when I hit reset, you can even make custom, setups. So if you needed to, maybe you want to remove the A, for whatever reason. So if you need to remove bars on your own manually, you have that option by selecting the different dots you see here at the bottom. And at the top, we can even show them our accidentals. So feel free to show them those F sharps, show them those B flats. Those are available to you as well. And hey, don't forget, you have even more available to you inside that menu button. All righty. So again, once you're done, you just come to the top, close that out. It brings us back to our teacher toolbox screen. So you might want to select some more activities or just continue with whatever else in your music lesson. Wow. Let's go ahead and exit here to get back to our teacher dashboard. Alrighty, so the last place that I wanted to dive into with you all today is Resource Manager. So Resource Manager, you'll notice, is located at the top of the dashboard, and it's above that Customize section. So that means that this is one of those administrative tools that we were talking about, things that we want you to be able to access at all times. So we would hate for you to customize and deselect Resource Manager and not have access to it. So essentially, Resource Manager is like our Google of QuaverMusic. So we can come into here and search for all of the things and not just songs like in ClassPlay. We can search for lessons, interactive screens, things like that. And you'll even see on the right-hand side here, we spend time searching for things, but it's kind of nice to be able to organize them into different folders. So I actually like to think of this as like my digital filing cabinet. So I could click menu at the top right. You'll see you only have the option to make a new folder. So we click new folder, and then we'll just give it a name. I'll just put sample folder, for example. So you'll see it appears there and it's grayed out. It just means that it's empty. There's nothing in it. So we're going to have to search for things to put inside this folder. So some of the ways that we can search, you might even want to just type in something that you're looking for. For example, I want to see what else does Quaver have to offer on 16th notes. So I can type 16th, and you'll see things are already starting to populate in our list here. 16th note. And when I hit enter, you'll see we've got lots of things that show up on our screen when we search for 16th notes. So maybe it's a case where we're looking for an interactive screen. We can use the yellow arrows to paginate. Maybe we're looking for a song with 16th notes. We've got lessons with 16th notes here too. Assessments. You'll see we even have a tab for video, audio, and printable. So you can even categorize your search results based on the type of result or the type of resource that you are looking for. Over here at the top left, we can click on this house. That's going to clear, our search results so we can start a new search. So over here at the top left, we have another way to search. We can utilize our topic index. Hey, maybe you're looking for some more, instrument activities. So I can click where it says instruments. Maybe I'm looking for some recorder activities. I can click on a recorder and you'll see we even have all these subcategories. So you can really narrow it down and get specific in terms of what it is that you are looking for recorder resources. We have another option at the top left, resource sets. Resource sets, we should click on that house. That'll refresh our results that are showing in the center. So resource sets, these are some icons that you might have noticed on the teacher dashboard. And so maybe it's a case where you accessed a screen in teacher toolbox, right? So we can click on teacher toolbox, for example. Maybe we click on the vocal warm-ups category and we're able to see, there's that hootie owl val. That's something that we went through in the training video, for example. Now you'll notice that this was favorited. However, where do we access the rest of the favorites, right? So inside resource sets, you'll see that we have a category called My Favorites. So anything that you have favorited throughout QuaverMusic is going to show up here. And then now that means that we can then take these screens and drag them into folders and categorize them. So maybe you have folders labeled by grade level. Maybe you have folders labeled by, musical concept, rhythm activities, movement activities, things like that. And so having the favorites option, everything that you have favorited, you can now utilize our folders and kind of categorize them based on how you're planning on using them. So we offer you that here in Resource Manager. Now, once you continue in your QuaverMusic journey, Resource Manager is also a place where we go to customize lessons. We can also add in our own resource creation screens. We can even customize assignments for students too. So just know that this is just the launching point of all things Resource Manager, but it's a great place for you to go ahead and get started with organizing your resources and searching for things in QuaverMusic. Now, when I click exit here, again, we're coming back to that dashboard, just some other things that I wanted to draw to your attention. This top row, like I said, those administrative tools, there's things that we have to offer like Help Center, for example. You'll definitely want to come in here to just get more help on all things QuaverMusic. You notice that we have some short tutorial videos available for you just to really, reinforce what we have to offer. There's also an inbox too, so make sure that you're checking our inbox messages. We'll be keeping you updated about new releases, new content, any seasonal announcements and things like that too. So keep checking back on that inbox, alrighty? And just again, to remind you all, that Help Center is available to you. We also have a Facebook group, QuaverMusic Teachers, if you're interested, but most importantly, our customer service. There's our phone number and our email, info@quavered.com. Thank you so much for your time.